Now, in the mysterious death of a man believed to have ties to one of the Boston bombing suspects. The FBI traveled to Florida last week to question this man, not about the Boston bombing, but about a triple murder that happened in Massachusetts back in 2011. There is growing evidence that one of the Boston bombing suspects, and perhaps both of them, may have had a role in those triple murders, and that this man, shown here, may have helped. But as an FBI agent was questioning him, something happened. And now this 27-year-old suspect is dead. And the FBI today stands accused of using excessive force. Trace Gallagher has the very latest developments. Trace?
And it's important to note that that man you mentioned, Ibragim Todashev, Megan, was inside his Orlando apartment being questioned by the FBI as well as agents from Boston. Now, he reportedly confessed to helping Tamerlan Tsarnaev kill 3 men on September 11, 2011, slashing their throats over a drug deal gone bad. He was about to sign a confession when the FBI says he went off. He grabbed a sword or a long pipe and went after agents. That's when they opened fire and killed him. The Washington Post, among others, reports that Todashev was unarmed. The FBI now disputes that. The family of Ibragim Todashev says he was shot 7 times, and they have the pictures to prove it, including one in the back of the head. He was executed, they say, and they want a full investigation. Listen.
At the moment, I want justice, and I want there to be an investigation so that these people are tried under American law. These are not FBI agents, but bandits. I cannot call them anything else, and they must be tried.
The Council on American Islamic Relations, or CAIR, is also asking for a full investigation. Todashev was involved in mixed martial arts, and that's where he met Tamerlan Tsarnaev in the Boston area. He was arrested in both Boston and Orlando for beating up strangers. And the FBI, Megan, says they are investigating this internally.
All right, thank you. Kelly's Court is back in session. On the docket today, that case. And joining me now to discuss it, Mercedes Colwin, who's a Fox News legal analyst, and Mark Eiglarz, who's a former prosecutor, now defense attorney. So now we've got conflicting reports now. A couple of law enforcement sources, unnamed, have spoken out to the media saying the guy was unarmed. And you got the father saying he was shot 7 times, claiming one of them was in the back of the head. That's we're getting from the father. So take it for what it's worth. And now the FBI pushing back, saying that's not true. He was armed. We don't know what the truth is, but if this is an unarmed man, Mark, shot 7 times by an FBI agent, where are we?
Well, we're having more questions than we have answers. First, we have that he had a knife, I'm reading. I said, okay, open and shut case, he had a knife. No. It's a long weapon, like a sword. Then other agents in the room allegedly said he was unarmed. Then there's one where he was unarmed, but he lunged for the officer's weapon. And then the most troubling of all the law enforcement officers who are giving these accounts, they weren't even in the room. They were outside, and it was a one-on-one FBI agent with him, and who knows what he's going to say. So again, I'm not saying anything went wrong. I'm just saying, what happened?
Something stinks. Something stinks. Something's not right here, Mercedes.
Well, I mean, here's from his perspective. Number one, they've got great training. The FBI certainly has great training as law enforcement. Number two, they can use deadly force if he believes he's an imminent threat of harm. And obviously, This is a split-second decision. I can't imagine that an FBI agent would go in and just simply execute an individual. They're having a discussion. There are other armed agents outside. Something happened in that room, but frankly, this is a trained officer that knows not to use deadly force unless he reasonably believes that he's in imminent harm.
Well, there's no question that they didn't have a motive to kill a guy who was reportedly about to confess to his role and Tamerlan Tsarnaev's alleged role in a triple homicide. That's what the report said. He was about to confess. So there must have been something that set off an altercation in that room, Mark. But does that answer the question about whether excessive force was used?
Let's make it simple. No, it does not. And look, to Mercedes' argument, if he was there because they're investigating a possession of marijuana case, that's one thing. We know this guy was potentially a dangerous fella, so that works well for the FBI. But let me just ask, if this was a family member of any one of us, God forbid, and we just want closure, we want to know how did this happen, you look at the different accounts and you're like, wait a second. None of these make sense. Which one was it?
It should be far more consistent than this. It should be far more consistent.
Yes.
You know what,
and the question is, though, Mercedes, speaking of the number of gunshots, is that relevant here?
Oh, certainly. I mean, certainly the one behind and the back of his head as well. But look, if all of these, all the ballistics show that he was shot in the front, and it looks like he was lunging forward, and obviously experts are going to be involved in this case during the process of investigating it. It's clearly an issue that it favors the FBI. It says he's lunging at him, I shot him. But if the ballistics show that he has a shot in the back of the head, that gets a little more murky.
That's problematic. Now, you also get to look at what's in the FBI agent's head. And the FBI agent knows that he's interviewing this guy for investigating a brutal triple murder that took place in 2011. Before I get to that and the agent's state of mind, Mark, I want to show you, there's an interview with the now dead suspect, this guy, Ibragim Todashev, with his wife about that old triple murder. Listen.
This is absolutely not true.
Apparently your husband was admitting to involvement in a triple murder on the 10th anniversary of 9/11. Did you know about that, and what do you think about that?
I never heard about it. The only thing come up after he was murdered. Before that, we never were questioned. I was questioned as well by FBI back in Atlanta, and never have any questions about the murder.
All right, so she says it's not true. But the FBI agent thinks it is true, and that changes the way he perceives his suspect, Mark.
Yeah, I don't think it changes it all that much. If he thinks that he's probably someone who committed a murder, for me that's good enough for the FBI to be on edge. But the question then becomes, what specifically happened?
But Mark,
why did that agent reasonably fear death or great bodily harm?
If that agent
and last question to you, Mercedes. I'll give you the last word. But Mercedes, they're not showing any knife wounds on the FBI agent.
No.
Now they're saying his only injuries are cuts and abrasions.
Well, certainly, if there's some sort of struggle that happened, and frankly, if it's confirmed that he did come after him with some stick, as that they're claiming that there was a stick, a pole,
stick now?
and also he was a mixed martial arts. Apparently, he was a fighter as well, the decedent. So all of these factors go in favor of the FBI.
Well,
and frankly, Mark, you know what? If he believed this man was that criminal who killed those 3 individuals, it certainly goes in his favor as well.
They're investigating
I agree,
it. The
but let's
FBI is
pick
investigating
one
it.
method.
But now CARE wants an outside independent investigation. But the FBI, law enforcement investigates itself all the time to see whether excessive force was used. We'll see. Probably lawsuit. I don't know, because the guy's Chechenian. The dad's over there. In any event, great debate. Thank you, panel.
Thanks.